Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. Welcome to another edition to the Backyard Sports Talk. I am Reid Jaco.
And I am the co-host, Danny Jacob.
We have some big MLB news to get to. Potential buyers and sellers upon the trading deadline upon us in about a month. Some WWE news. Queen of the Ring and King of the Ring sweepstakes is upon us, and we have some AEW news as well as some training camp news and some potential UFL players who have signed and potentially can sign with the NFL come later in the training camp portion of the off season.
And we'll also discuss briefly again about, as we did last week, about Aaron Rodgers going to Pittsburgh and all the jokes it's been on the memes. He's getting ready to get Geritol injections and all kinds of stuff. But it's been interesting. I'm really interested to see how this season goes. But we'll talk a little more about it.
So, starting first with MLB, we have some MLB trade predictions that we're going to go over. So, with the trading deadline coming up in just about a month, we will start getting a big part of our trades after the All-Star break. The All-Star break is around the second week of July. So right around, I would say about the July 15th to July 31st. Of course, the actual deadline is July 31st at I think it's 4 p.m. Eastern or maybe 5 p.m. Eastern.
It's not at midnight?
Never been at midnight.
Oh.
Anyway, so that is when we will probably get the most trades upon us, and we will look at the likely of the buyers and the likely sellers to see who will amplify their chances to go ahead and try to make a playoff push, and who will go ahead and throw in the towel this year and call it quits for this season and look towards their future. A couple of them I got put here for likely buyers are the Los Angeles Dodgers, the New York Yankees. Initially, I had the Atlanta Braves down as a likely buyer, but over the last couple of weeks and months after they have totally just like burned and crashed, I would not see them as a buyer. But I think your main two buyers are going to be the Dodgers, even though they have such a good team. The injury plague has gotten them. The Yankees, they could use another bat, and I would say another one that would probably be a really big buyer if they had the opportunity would be the Toronto Blue Jays. The Blue Jays just fighting right behind the New York Yankees in the National League East. I think that would be a good opportunity to see them amplify that division and try to push them to another playoff berth for the first time in a couple of seasons.
Hey, we were discussing, and I don't mean to jump ahead here, a little bit what you're saying. Is the Braves too far gone to come back?
I would think so. I think that because we can look at the current we will look at the current standings. But seeing that just from how each team has looked in the National League East and played, realistically, I think they are, because they're 33 and 39, 11 games out of the first place spot in the National League East. And you say, well,
they're 33 and what?
39.
See, I believe that obviously they're going to have to bring in some help. But I can't see that they couldn't try to put together, if they could be up, right, as we always say, around 500 by the break.
They would need to go on a run for quite a ways. They are seeking some bullpen help, and the next couple of weeks over the next month is going to be really pivotal for the Atlanta Braves. Seeking some bullpen help to see if they can get some good late inning options, because they've had quite a bit of blown saves early in the year. That has been a lot of their issues. They are 5.5 games out of a third wild card opportunity. Not saying that that is going to be the end of them. However, when the National League wild card is as packed as I've ever seen it, it's going to be difficult because, not to get over too far ahead of ourselves, but you got the Brewers, you got the Cardinals, you got the Reds, you got the Diamondbacks all ahead of them. You got the Brewers that are just looking in by a inch of a glass at a half a game. You got the Cardinals and the Cincinnati Reds who are right there at a game out. And then you've got the Diamondbacks who are playing phenomenal, who are 5-5 over the last 10. They're kind of starting to get it together. They have lost their last 3 games. I think that will be a team that will probably be a buyer, and we had this conversation here before that, I was really critical of them, and I was a critic of their, and I thought that since Corbin Burns was going to be out for the year, that they needed to go ahead and throw in the towel. Well, I think they heard me, and their mission is to prove me wrong because they are only 3 games out of that second wild card. Even though it is a jam-packed wild card in the National League, I don't think they're completely out of that National League West because, yes, it's a good National League West, but you look at the National League West, and we will get into the full scale of things. Yes, they are 9 games out, but if they get on some kind of run and knock a few of these teams out down the stretch, it could get really interesting.
Put this Braves thing in a different perspective here. Okay, it's not what I'm trying to say. There's 7 games below 500, right? So
Yes.
that at this point in the season, probably I think what you're trying to say wouldn't concern you that much. It's the power of all the other teams that is so strong this year.
That is correct. Because not so much that I'm worried about them being that far under 500 is because
That would be doable.
in 2019, in May, the Washington Nationals were 19-31 and turned it around and eventually won the World Series.
Yeah, that's a remarkable story. I mean, it really is. So I mean, it's the Braves are not.
And I mean, you think about it, the Braves are known from being worst to first. I
Right.
mean, they have that story from the 90s, and they had that story. Look at 2021. This time in 2021, I mean, they weren't doing good. The Mets were in first place. The Phillies were up there.
Right now, if the
They
Braves were 3 or 4 games above 500, they still got their work cut out for them, don't they? With the power of the other teams.
right,
Didn't mean to cut you off
right. No, and that's what I mean is and it's looking like we're getting some clarity in the National League West as we move forward. We will get into that later on, but back to our buyers and sellers segment. Likely sellers, I can see the top 3 sellers. And I'm gonna go ahead and add another one to this list. I would say the Athletics would probably be one who would probably continue to trade away any veterans with expiring contracts that they would be able to go ahead and turn over for some prospects and continue to work towards their rebuild. Same thing with the Kansas City Royals. I think they would trade some of their more experienced players and to acquire some younger guys and younger talent. Not saying that they have a lot of huge and big overpowering players that they can go out and just trade, just because they have a pretty decent sized core there that I think that they would like to keep together. They just have a little bit of holes that they need to be filled. And I think a big one there would probably be try to get a good young starting pitcher for the future. I'm not saying that they're going to be able to do that in this deadline, but I could see them trying to trade some of their more experienced fellers. The Pittsburgh Pirates, I think that they would try to trade a couple of their bullpen pieces since they are not going to be in contention. They would have I don't think they're going to try and go out and try to trade Paul Skeens this early. I think this is too much of an early start for Paul Skeens to try to be traded. He's got roughly 3 to 3.5 years left on his rookie contract. I don't think that he would be traded this early. I could see him being traded in the off season or being traded next year, depending on how that turns out. However, I don't see them going ahead and trying to trade him this year. So I think that you would try to trade. They have a pretty decent bullpen arm. Um, I could remember his name. He would help out quite a few teams. He's helped them pretty well, but with their struggling offense, I don't think Dennis Santana is who I'm referring to. Dennis Santana has in 31 innings has a ERA of 1.74 ERA. I could see them trading him, and I could see the likely buyers to that would probably be a potential Atlanta Braves, a potential um, San Diego Padres, a potential Arizona Diamondbacks, and even a potential Detroit Tigers team. Who, you can never have too much bullpen help down the stretch and into the playoffs.
Yeah, because you got to count for injuries and exhaustion and everything else.
That is correct. So I don't see that the Pirates going out and selling off everything they've got. I think that Dennis Santana will be the main trade piece from Pittsburgh and maybe a couple of players who are expiring contracts. I could see them trading those guys and trying to get some younger bats in there. They need some offense. Their offense have been awful. Their pitching hasn't been too bad this year. They just don't have any offense whatsoever.
I have a good idea. Fire everybody that's not a player.
Well, they already fired Derek Shelton.
That poor franchise, and again, I always go back because the fans is what makes any of this stuff work. And I feel sorry for them folks up there. I mean, they have struggles for so many. Their football team has been in a lull, but they've produced through the years. This poor baseball team is sad. It's sad.
It truly is, and you know, I never wish ill on a team or ill on anybody. So I hope that they get it together, and I hope that they don't waste Paul Skeens' career there in Pittsburgh. One of the best young pitchers in the game.
If they ever went very far, I think I'd be rooting for him. I feel so bad for him.
Right, and this is some of Paul Skeens' numbers this year, and this is gonna kind of shock you. So through 96 innings, he has a ERA of 174 through 15 starts.
Wow. 1.74.
1.78.
1.78. Okay.
And guess what his record is in those 15 starts?
I guess 10-5.
He is 4-6.
Some of them did that 4-6. But see, how good did he pitch them games? Did the team screw it up, let it go, get away from him? Did the the guy come in to close it or the back? There's a lot of things that can happen there that pitchers get the bad rap on.
Right. No, and that's what I'm saying here. You look here. I'm trying to find the quality starts list because he's got to have quite a bit of quality starts. Um, I don't see where it is. They should have the area for like quality starts.
Doesn't that all can't come into this is something I'm going to pull out. Let's just say you're Houston and you're going after him, and you look at him and say, well, he only won 4. He's only 4-6 or whatever. But you take into account the rest of the whole scenario for the entire game, don't you?
So looking at all of this, I found the quality starts. So out of his 15 starts, he had 11 quality starts, but it's not. But through 96 innings, ERA of 178. I mean, that is remarkable. So I don't really take into account win-loss record because if you go out and you throw a perfect 8 innings, but your team don't score any runs, how is that on you?
That's true. But the thing that I don't like about that, generally fans, or when it comes to their end of their career, they look at that wins and losses.
The older things used to. Anymore, it's not really looked at anymore. And that really changed about 2018 when Jacob DeGrom won his Cy Young Award. He was 8-9, but he had an ERA of 178 through almost 200 innings.
Okay, what if you had an ERA? Say you started, how many games does usually a pitcher get to start throughout a year?
It's most of the time right around 30 to 32.
Okay, let's just do it this way. Okay, let's just say a pitcher started 30 games this year, and he has an ERA of 1.2, just something really remarkable. But he has a record of 12 and 18. How does he run for the Cy Young? Not looked at, is he?
He'll get it.
You think he would?
Yeah.
You don't go off the record total.
No, not anymore.
Okay, but it used to.
It used to back in the day. Like I said, in 2018, Jacob DeGrom really changed that because I believe he was like 7-9 or 8-10 or something like that, but he had an ERA of like 1.74
That
and like
changed. That was good.
and like 275 strikeouts through nearly 200 some odd innings. And all the analysts are like, look, this is a remarkable season. We can't just continue to sit back and look at the wins loss record when it's not on him. He has no run support.
You totally agree with that.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't look at, win loss record looks good, yes, but at the end of the day, I mean, it looks pitiful when you have an ace like this that is through his first 15 starts of the season, and 11 of those were quality starts. A quality start is at least 6 innings, 3 runs or less, and he's got an ERA of 178, 1.78, and he's got 97 strikeouts, so he's got one more strikeout than innings pitched. But then you look, and he's 4-6.
Right now, where would you put him in the National League ranking in pitchers?
Right now,
Number
1.
Number 1. Okay.
I mean, who's better?
That's true.
I mean,
I'm just glad that they're starting to get the right amount of respect that they.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at any of the stats. I mean, right now, I know you're not as a big as a baseball guru as I am, but at the end of the day, who's better? I mean, I don't see if anybody in the National League.
I just remember, the philosophy on that was that you would think, and I've had this discussion with people, and they said, well, at the end of the day, at the end of the year, all counts is wins and losses. No, it shouldn't, and it don't now, at least.
Let me look here. Cy Young. So the 2018 Cy Youngs it was Jacob DeGrom. Hold on. Okay, so in 2018, okay, I was completely wrong, but he was 10-9 with an ERA of 1.7.
The thing of it is, Pittsburgh needs to. I don't know what his contract situation is, but he's going to get major offers when he ever becomes a free agent again. If he keeps doing this, and he won't be in a Pittsburgh uniform.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you're going to see, everybody said this. I mean, he's the best pitcher in the league right now just because Shohei Ohtani's got some elbow issues. And, getting to this, he did come back and he did throw an inning last week or this week. But anyway, right now, I think Paul Skeens is the best pitcher in baseball at only like 23 years old.
And that's a shame that they're not building that team up around him. You tell me that I'm sure they've got the money.
Absolutely. And I mean, that is what I would do if I had that organization. I would say, look, we may be bad this year and maybe next year, but if you sign, let's work out some kind of contract and let's keep you here because we are going to build this team around you. We may have this may have to be a quick and easy gig to where you may have to do a lot of in and out trading and turnover, but if you just continue to build each team around him, you're going to win games and you're going to go far in the playoffs. The thing right now with them is this: they can't hit.
That's what I want to ask you what they were like at the bat.
Not good at all. I was going to pull up their team stats here. So their team stats. Let's see here. Where is it at? The Pittsburgh Pirates. They don't actually give me their team team stats in full swing 2020s. They don't really give it. But I mean, okay, let's put this in perspective though. Surely this is not right. Let me go to this other one. I'm sorry, it's just not working really well. Technology is winning today.
It does with me about every day.
It happens.
So, as we were talking about the trade deadlines, the end of July. Sometimes I've noticed during those trade deadlines that it seemed to be used to. It was more exciting. Now it doesn't seem to always be that exciting, and a lot of teams don't seem like they do much. Maybe because there's not availability, or think they don't need something, or what they want's just not there. But do you think this will be an active trade deadline this year? Or?
I do. I do think this is going to be an active trade deadline. I'm really looking forward to it. Um,
What
we'll
about
see.
your team, Houston? Are they going to try to do anything?
We're looking pretty good this year. Not exactly knowing what we're going to do. Exactly. Really looking forward to seeing exactly. I think we need to go out and get a starting pitcher. Don't know if that's going to happen because we have some starting pitchers that are on the injured list that could come back towards the deadline. And if we could get that, rather than going out and giving up any of our farm, that would help more than just getting, you know, the players. So, quick look at the Pirates here. As a team, they are batting 224.
Yeah.
And putting this in perspective, um, we are going to compare them to one of the best teams in baseball. So currently, right now, the Dodgers are batting 265. So if you ask me, they need hitting, meaning Pirates. Their best hitter is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, goodness. He's only batting 284. And you say, well, 284 doesn't seem too bad. But he's got one home run. He's got a WAR of 1.1. He's got 15 RBIs and only 61 plate appearances. Or 61 games and 222 plate appearances. To me, if you're batting 284 in that capacity, you need to be producing more RBIs, more stolen bases, less strikeouts, more walks. Moral of the story is this team is terrible.
Well, let's talk a little bit about while we're still on baseball. Discuss real quick some of the potential trades that you're talking about. I know you have some ideas here that might happen. Let's just run through those real quick.
So I think here the Luis Castillo of the Seattle Mariners. I have a prediction that he will go to the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Dodgers need a top tier starting pitcher, and the Dodgers always seem how to get what they want.
Well, they seem to because they put the money out.
Yes, I think that will happen. So I think that will be a potential trade there. So Josh Bell of the Washington Nationals, I think he will be traded to the New York Yankees. New York Yankees are looking for some more power at the left side and the right side. He's a switch hitter, so Bell's power bat would provide a significant boost to the Yankees lineup. Gonna skip him because he only lasted 1 day there. Sean Manaea, I think, would make a good home back with the San Diego Padres. The Padres need starting pitching depth, and Manaea could be a reliable option.
Very good. And the Padres are definitely in the run right now.
Absolutely.
They need to build up on what they've got, for no question there.
And Andrew Benintendi, I don't think that he will be traded just because of his contract with the White Sox. Um, it's a tough contract.
But before we leave baseball, I do think that we owe a little bit of an honorable mention about the St. Louis Cardinals. What's your thoughts on them right now? And do you see them doing anything but the deadline?
Right now, they're not a terrible team.
No, not at all. I mean, compared to what we've been looking at the last half a dozen years, they're a good team.
I think that their biggest problem is that they need pitching and they need a potential upgrade in their bullpen. So I don't know. At this point, you're going to have to do something. I don't know if you go out and make a huge blockbuster trade, but you've got to try to do something because you're only one game out of the wild card at this point, and I don't know how things will shake up in about a month and month and a half. But right now, the Cardinals, they did get swept by the Blue Jays over the weekend. It was tough,
I heard that.
but as for all the Cardinal fans, don't just give up on them just yet. I think that they have a good opportunity if they stay together, that they have a good opportunity to have some fun baseball in St. Louis come late August, early September, and potentially into October, depending on what the National League Central does and how the wild card shapes up in the National League.
Well, and kind of real quick, it's kind of as you were talking about with kind of the same scenario in a way with Atlanta. The Cardinals are a lot better, but the competition's so stiff this year. There's a lot of it. On a normal year, the Cardinals might be a little closer to the wild card than they even are right now but the competition's strong this year.
Absolutely. It is. It's definitely going to be a jam-packed gauntlet of a wild card in the National League.
And all I can say is look out for the Detroit Tigers. Good team.
So in the American League East, is some of these teams are may or may not have point 0.5 games behind because they may have played today, or they may be playing right now because this is being recorded in the afternoon, and some of them are playing games right now. So New York Yankees are in first place at 42-31 in the American League East. In second place, Tampa Bay Rays at 41-33. In third place is the Toronto Blue Jays at 40-33. And fourth place is the Boston Red Sox at 39-37, who had a blockbuster trade this week where they sent Rafael Devers to the San Francisco Giants for 2 pitchers and 2 prospects. It was a huge trade for both ends. I think early on, at this point, the winner of the trade will probably end up being San Francisco, depending on how the prospects and the Kyle Harrison pitcher turns out in Boston. But right now, my personal opinion that the San Francisco Giants definitely won this trade. In last place in the American League East is the Baltimore Orioles at 31-42. Going over to the American League Central, in first place is the Detroit Tigers at 47-27. 9 games behind them. In second place is the Cleveland Guardians at 37-35. In third place is the Minnesota Twins at 37-37. The Kansas City Royals at 36-38. And the Chicago White Sox at 23-50.
They've been a huge disappointment for them, as normal.
Yes. And going to the American League's West in Houston is 43-31. 5.5 games behind them in second place is the Seattle Mariners at 37-36. Third place is the Los Angeles Angels at 36-37, the Texas Rangers at 36-38, and the Athletics at 30-46. Moving on to the National League East, in first place is the New York Mets at 45-29. However, they have lost 5 games in a row. One game behind them is the Philadelphia Phillies at 44-30. Behind them by about 10 games is the Atlanta Braves at 33-39. And in fourth place, after a rough couple of weeks, after losing roughly 9 games straight, going 1-9 over their last 10 games, have now backed it way off to 31-44 is the Washington Nationals. And in last place in the National League East is the Miami Marlins, who could always potentially be a seller. They're pretty much a seller every year. They get a good, decent team. They get up to 500, and they say, nah, never mind. We'll go ahead and start selling.
Is it just, do they not have the money? I don't understand why that team can't be more competitive.
They fire everybody who knows how to manage that team. Like, manage it like the front office. Like Jim Ning, who is now the ASUL, the professional softball commissioner. She ran it for a couple of seasons. She got him in the wild card and had a wild card, but then they fired her because they didn't like the direction that she was going with them.
And they like this direction?
Apparently. National League Central. Chicago Cubs at 45-28. In second place by about 6.5 games is the Milwaukee Brewers at 39-35. Behind them is the St. Louis Cardinals at 38-35. Right behind them, looking at them right there beside them, is the Cincinnati Reds at 39-36. And the reason why that technically the Cardinals are ahead of them in standings is because the Cardinals has one loss less than the Reds. It doesn't matter that the Reds have one more win than they do. And I don't know the
That makes it a half game, right?
Yeah, no, that basically means they're tied. However, in the standings, if the season were ended today, St. Louis would be ahead of them because I think it mainly is part of head-to-head too, and their winning percentage is a little higher in St. Louis than it is in Cincinnati. And in last place in the National League Central, and we will continue to talk about all these Pittsburgh teams, it seems like, for years to come, is the Pirates at 29-45. And going on to Dad's favorite division ever, the National League West. We are finally getting some clarity in the National League West. The Los Angeles Dodgers has won 5 games straight, and everybody else has went on a losing streak. The Dodgers are 46-29 and in first place. The San Francisco Giants are 41-33, 4.5 games back. The San Diego Padres are 39-34, 6 games back. And the Arizona Diamondbacks are 36-37, 9 games back. And all the way back there behind them, keeping up the caboose, is the Colorado Rockies at 17-58.
At 14. They've actually won a couple games here lately, though, haven't they?
They have. I'll give them that.
Now, they've probably almost played 500 ball in the last 7 days, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Last 10 games, they're 5-5. Their run differential is -196. So the run differential is the runs scored equal to the runs allowed. So they're negative by 196 when like the Dodgers are plus 77, Giants are plus 42, and the Padres are plus 19.
Well, it's got to be an embarrassment to ownership too to see that they've allowed their franchise to tank that bad. It's just unacceptable.
It is. It really is sad. I mean, I do feel sorry for the team. Not only the team, I feel sorry for the fan base.
Absolutely. I mean, they're the ones that's putting up a lot of money, to see these guys and to watch their games. It's sad, and it really is sad, for the players that's out there, busting their, whatever they trying to make something happen, and it's got to be a year that they want to forget about.
Right.
So, are we on to the National Football League now? Okay. Well, first off, we'll talk a little bit about. I want to mention a couple things about Aaron Rodgers. He needs to speak up and say something. He was supposed to, wasn't he, in the last day or so? Has he yet? He hasn't really made any comments about being in Pittsburgh.
I haven't really seen a whole lot
He
of
needs to
him.
say something, and I mean, I think people would like to see him show some enthusiasm that he's happy to be there, and say something. That usually happens pretty quick. Usually, Tom Brady went to Tampa. That was pretty quick. He had a press conference and
Right.
spoke about it and showed his enthusiasm and all that. But right now, there's been a lot of jokes going on about Aaron Rodgers that he's showing him with a cane. It's all AI stuff, But he needs to show, I think, a little more enthusiasm for where he's at. And I think that I'm wanting him to do good this year. I like Aaron. I like the team. But anyway, I don't want to be one of them that's sitting there making fun of him either. Go ahead and pick up where you were at.
Real quick, Bill Sims says that Aaron Rodgers is in the best shape, will come through big time in 2025.
And I hope he does. I'd like to see his career have a good ending. I've always liked Aaron Rodgers.
So, real quick here, I've got some news to go ahead and go over. Pull it up here. I'm sorry. So the Houston Texans added former first rounder Damon Arnetta, giving the former Raiders pick a fresh start following legal troubles in 2022. New York Jets signed UFL kicker Harrison, that kicker Mavis, to adding competition to their roster. We have some quick mini camps and player status. Final mandatory mini camps wrapping up this week include the Chiefs, Ravens, and Rams offer insight into their offseason prep and stand out performances. Kelsey affirms retirement decisions was easy and confirms his return to Kansas City. Packers' Elegant Jenkins and Dolphins' Jalen Ramsey made headlines by reporting or skipping minicamp. Jenkins amid contract talks and Ramsey amid potential trade buzz. Washington Commanders named one of the NFL's most improved teams for 2025, spotlighting offseason trades for Deebo Samuel and Laramie Tunsil and Jaden Daniels' advancement as quarterback. The Los Angeles Rams inch towards a reunion with Jalen Ramsey through salary cap and logistic remain obstacles. And analysis labels that Josh Allen's league's best quarterback, surpassing Patrick Mahomes based on efficiency and season performances.
That's interesting.
So now that we have had it all this. So reinforcement and reunions. Alexander's move to Baltimore and the Ramsey situation. Contrast veteran. So what do you think about the Alexander's move to Baltimore versus the whole Ramsey situation? Do you think that they are monetary motivated decisions?
Probably. I would say they probably are. What do you think?
Absolutely. So UFL to NFL pipeline.
Because you're getting, I want to say, at this point in the year, you kind of got the picture laid out where your team's going to go. You've been through the draft and free agency and all that. And money, then you start getting GMs or even higher up, the like president of football operations breathing down your neck over. It's becoming a situation we're close here. What if we lost a wide receiver? We got to go out and bring somebody in. Do we have the money to do all that? So that money starts becoming a big issue.
I agree with that. So number two, the UFL to NFL pipeline. Davis's jump from UFL to Jets. Pair this up with Arnett's journey from legal issues to so what do you think the idea from Mevis's jump to the UFLs to the Jets? What do you think? Do you think there's any comparison between Arnett's journey from legal issues back into the league from Mevis's jump to the UFL to the Jets?
I think that first off, I think this is good for the UFL. I mean, it may not be good losing their player, but seeing players become recognized, performance in the UFL coming to the NFL, I think that the more that happens, the more viable I think it will make the UFL in the long run, almost like a minor league to them. And I think that they start depending on that. I think you'll see, who knows down the road if this thing goes right, they might even get a little financial support from the NFL.
Do you think that the UFL will give guys opportunities, since, the draft, it's kind of in the middle of the season, so you can't really just sign if you didn't get drafted. But say if you were a senior last fall, you didn't get drafted this spring, but hey, next spring I want to sign with the UFL. Do you think that gives those guys another year to potentially show off their stuff to
Absolutely.
go to the NFL as
Absolutely.
undrafted?
Absolutely. Because we see a lot of undrafted guys that go to the NFL. And this gives them a stage to show their stuff.
Kind of like a minor league
Kind
step.
of like a minor league thing. This gives these guys a stage, and so they can be looked at. They can see it under direct competition. And I think that for the longevity of the UFL, they need to get along good with the NFL. That's why I look. And I think if they can make come on, here's the thing. Nowhere in the next 25 to 50 years is anybody going to pass the NFL, become more stronger than the National Football League. But if you can kind of work with them, and be, I guess, so to speak, sort of a minor league to them, I think you're going to see more people be interested in the UFL, and I think the NFL will show them more support. And I think for their longevity, they maybe become something that is necessary.
So you want them to see more of a partnership than a competition.
Absolutely, I think that's the only way to survive in long term.
So you don't want to see it like the 1990s Monday Night Wars. You want to see it more like a true partnership.
Yes, I don't think that there's enough money. I don't think there's enough money to pump into the UFL to make them be any really competition to the NFL. The NFL's too established, too much money, and I like the UFL a lot, and I want to see them succeed. But I think that they need to be supported by the NFL to really have that long term success and to be able to sustain yourself for many, many years. I'm not saying it's got to take away from. If anything, it should make the play even better in the UFL. Those guys are going out there busting their butt,
Absolutely.
trying. Like I said, this is their stage to perform on, and they know that every eye's on them. It's going to make them even. I think it could really make a good league. That's the way I think it needs to go.
You know what I would like to see. I don't know if this will ever happen, and this might be just a long shot. But I would like to see the UFL partner with the CFL.
Yeah, that wouldn't be bad. I don't even know. You don't hear much about the CFL. I used to. Did I don't even. There's not that many teams, is there?
No, and that's what I'm saying.
How many teams they got? 10 teams or something like
I
that.
think so. It's pretty light.
And I used to, and it's old. It's been around a long time. And I don't know that it's ever went away and came back. I thought it's been there consistent, but it's an old league. I guess it sustains itself okay. I don't know much about it, to be honest with you.
It's got 9 teams. It was founded in 1958.
Have they made it every year? Has there been any down years that they didn't play, or
Not that I am aware of. It's looking like it. They've played just about every year.
so? Yeah, I mean that would be a good thought to maybe have some type of relation because we see a lot of players.
And hold that thought. And I'm not saying like combine the leagues. What I'm getting at is why don't we potentially I don't know how their season lines up to the UFLs, but let's take the CFL and the UFL and let's have a I don't know what you would call it, some kind of honorary championship game or something, let's say like 4th of July weekend.
Right. Yeah. Well, let's let them kind of like like the NFL is. Of course, they're playing their own teams, but going to Europe and the UK. Maybe schedule a few games with CFL and UFL with each other. Basically, what you're saying. Like, let's play 2 games. Let's play each team. Let's pick out 4 teams. 2 teams go to Canada and play a game. 2 Canadian teams come here and play a game every year. Something like that. That would be interesting.
Right. I just think, continue to promote the American football dream in Canada and then kind of give the Canadians dream support down here because, without getting into politics, that could eventually be another
Yeah.
state. So, I mean,
Yes, absolutely.
there's unlimited possibilities. I just think that would be, and obvious, and another thing that would give Fox more ability to film and broadcast.
Right. That's true. Very true. All right.
So quick, how do you compare Mevis's jump from the UFL to the NFL from Damon Arnett's journey from legal battles back into the league? Do you think that there's any comparison there?
I'll be honest with you. I'm not real on top of that, of all that right now. I don't know really that I need to even comment on it. It's really something that I've not. I heard a little bit about it, but I'm not enough to really even comment on it. To be honest with you, shame on me for not doing my homework.
I got you. All right, so moving on. So, what do you think about Kelsey's confidence, Jenkins's negotiations, and Ramsey's holdout patterns? We'll start with Kelsey's confidence.
Well, he's making brags, isn't he, about what he's going to do?
On like not retiring was the best decision, and he's gonna really do really good this year.
I think that's exactly what he should do. Be saying, I don't think you want to hear your star tight end go, well, maybe I should have retired. I don't know if I'm going to have a good season. I don't think you want to hear that as a fan or an owner or another player. You want to hear him say, hey, coming back and playing another year was the best thing I can do because I've still got the desire. I still have the physical ability, and everything. And I still, desire to win another Super Bowl. So I think, yeah, that's exactly what you want to hear him saying.
Absolutely. So Jenkins's negotiations and Ramsey negotiations were well. Ramsey was more of a holdout pattern. They both were caught skipping mini camps. What are your initial thoughts? I mean, with the negotiations first, and then a a quick comment on what you think about Ramsey's holdouts.
Well, the skipping mini camps is a problem, I think. It always has been. Look, Brett Favre would not show up to regular training camp for weeks sometimes and start. I think that, and they do some of this, but I think they need to get in their pockets really deep on that. You don't show up, hey, in your contract, you got to show up at our mini camps. We need you there. You may not think you need to do anything, but the other players need you around them. And I think they should really dip into their pocket, their contract, and I mean, cost them some major money for not being there. And I hate that when they do that. I mean, you need to be there at every mini camp. You need to be there when training camp starts. You need to be there a day early. I mean, you need to be there. So, I think that's a problem in the league. It's been a problem for a long time. We've seen that. Like I said, Brett Favre was one of the worst. He always said he hated training camp. Well, that's part of it, though. And it's why you were making a lot of money, Brett. It's why you were making a lot of money at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to show up. And there's been other players through the years that's done that. And, if they're having trouble with their contract, they hold out and all that. But I don't like that. I just don't like that. I mean, of course, a team needs to get a contract squared away before that even happens. Before it can happen. Is what I'm trying to say.
Do you think that the NFL should place, because we've had negotiations with Jenkins and then Ramsey's holdout, do you think the NFL should put a deadline on all the contracts to have it all done?
Absolutely. I've always said that. Absolutely.
So by this time in minicamp season, I'm going to call June minicamp season. By minicamp season, you don't have to worry about any kind of contracts.
My opinion, that contracts should be finished April 30th. By April 30th.
Wow, that early.
Well, that'd be a little hard, I guess. I mean, that's probably. But
What I was thinking is Memorial Day.
yeah, Memorial Day weekend would be acceptable, or May 31st, whichever. But
Right.
June 1, there shouldn't be a problem with any contracts. Hey, we're ready for training camp, and all that.
And then if you don't have a contract signed after that, you can sign, but you have to wait and sign until training camp starts.
Yeah,
Like you can't sign in June.
right. I agree with that. But I think the players' union won't ever allow that to happen, though. I think that's probably a lot of it. Man, I'm gonna tell you something. That NFL players' union has a lot of power. They have a lot of power.
Most player unions do.
Yeah.
Major League Baseball's player union has a lot of power too. Uh, so moving on here to the next topic. The Commanders' momentum's building. What do you think about their position for the 2025 season?
I don't know.
Do you think it's going to be as strong, and will they go as far as they did this year or last year,
Well,
rather?
I would like to think they will. Are you asking? Are they going to be one of the top tier teams? I don't think so. I think they'll probably be a wild card team, maybe. I think so. I don't know. I just think that that's all been happening kind of fast there. So I think they're going to be. I think they're not going to be the old Washington Redskins that lost all the time. You know what I'm saying? I think they're going to come around. I just don't know if they're going to be that team that's really, hey, maybe they'll surprise me. I mean, I would like. I mean, they deserve some success, but I guess the way I put it, I think they'll be at least as good as they were last year. Now, whether they're going to be any better than that, I don't know, but I think they'll be at least as good.
That's fair enough. And a quick debate: who is the best quarterback currently in the league? Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes?
Man, that's almost like saying what's the best ice cream, chocolate or vanilla? I mean, because they're
Chocolate.
I like vanilla better. But, right now everybody's going to say that Mahomes is the one that's got the job done, so far.
That's fair.
That's what they're going to say. And if you look, there's so many things in a way, like if you compare clutch time, they're both pretty good. Mahomes is good too. And that clutch time, we got a minute and 30 seconds left and one timeout, we got to go 75 yards. Mahomes has been good at that.
I'm still taking Brady over either one.
Absolutely. Any day of the week. Any day of the week. Any day of the week. But they're both good. But right now, I mean, as much as I like Josh Allen, I like him a lot. I think, and I'm not a huge Mahomes guy, you know that. But I still got to give the edge to Mahomes right now, I think it's only fair.
I think that's fair enough. I will agree with that. So moving on to some good old wrestling. So we have some good moving on here. Queen of the Ring breakdown. The Perez and Cargo match. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know who won that match. Put it on here, but I didn't put the winner.
I thought Cargill did, but maybe not. Shame on us.
No, that match hasn't happened yet.
Is that for Saturday night's main event?
No, it's gonna happen Friday.
Oh, it's Friday. Tomorrow night.
Yes.
And there's something else big tomorrow night. There's another big match that we need to talk about tomorrow.
Ron Killings and John Cena.
Yes. That for the title?
I don't know if that's a title match or not.
Hmm.
So real quick, now that I've got all my things squared away here, going back to the Perez and Cargill, who do you think will end up winning that match?
Cargill. I think so. She's amazing. I mean, when she was in AEW, she was really one of their top women. Can you say?
I can agree with that.
I mean, she was one of their top, when she made the jump over to here, I think it could be her. Of course, it seems like they are pushing Perez pretty good too, though, ain't they?
They are pushing her.
So, I guess that's why we'll watch the match. It will be interesting to see which way they go with that. And is this Bailey and Becky, is that going to be something for SummerSlam? Or when do you think that's going to be?
They keep pushing it. I don't know exactly when it's going to be. I know they just continue to ease on.
But it's not scheduled.
It's not scheduled yet.
So I'm sure that's the summer.
I think they're gonna push it to SummerSlam. Because we've got, I don't know, nearly 2 months until SummerSlam.
It's usually about the third week of August.
Yeah.
So, I think that anything else that's like we got Night of Champions coming up in Saudi, and we got Saturday Night's Main Event coming up next month. When is Night of the Champions? The end of this month, right?
Next Saturday.
Okay. Anything that's going to go especially for Night of Champions, should probably already on. The match is already signed, I'm sure.
It should. Yes, it should be.
And a lot of them starting to be signed for Saturday Night's Main Event already. So I'm sure that, like I said, the Becky and Bailey will be a SummerSlam, SummerSlam match. That's a SummerSlam caliber type match. So I think that'll be a good one too. I think Becky will win that. Or Bailey. I think Bailey will win that.
So the for right now, the United Champions, the only thing that they have scheduled is John Cena, CM Punk, and Dominic Mysterio and AJ Styles.
Right. Now, talk a little bit in case anybody's curious. If we wanted to watch that live, what time would we have to do that in, say, Central Standard Time? You know that without looking it up. You did once before, but I didn't know if you still did or not.
Okay, so I believe it is like a noon start. I'm gonna definitely have to look that up because with the time difference, they're gonna do it. I think at like a 7 o'clock time over in Saudi Arabia.
I don't know
So
the difference in the time.
So it is going to be United Champions live from Reid, Saudi Arabia on Saturday, June 28th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time on Peacock. So it will be at noon Central Time.
Now, is that live?
Yes, it will be live on Peacock.
Well, that's doable. I think there'll be
there should be some pretty good there should be a good online attendance.
And that's on Saturday.
Yes.
I think that I think that I'm looking forward to that. And I don't remember the time being that good before. I thought the time was real early of the morning. I may be thinking about the NFL games that was in Europe.
Yes, that's what you're thinking of, the NFL games in Europe. Because the NFL games in Europe always start at like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. So that's very doable. I think that's something,
Yeah.
You may not be able to. You may be coaching baseball, but we'll definitely watch it. If we don't get to watch it live, we'll definitely watch it.
So, the Jade Cargill and Roxanne Perez match should happen next. It'll be either on, I believe it's going to happen on Raw, and then the Alexa Bliss and Asuka will happen on SmackDown on Friday.
Okay. Well, don't worry, you got that listed at. I'm sure you do. I don't want to jump ahead here, but what do you think about Gunther and Goldberg? Are we going to talk about that, or is that on?
So you're not gonna like me to say this, but I don't like it.
Tell me why.
Goldberg is too old. He's too old for this. There's only like 5 people in this entire world that wants to see Goldberg out there, and you're one of them.
No, he got a big ovation the other night.
And my biggest problem with the ring general is I love him to death, but they don't know how to book him unless he don't have a title. Unless he has a title.
Well, this Goldberg thing, the reason that I don't like it so much, if you want to make a feel-good story out of it, Goldberg should have been booked with another aged veteran. Then you could have put Goldberg over, and it would have been okay. As it is, it's obvious you can't put him over against Gunther. You got to keep Gunther strong. So it's obviously Gunther will win the match. But
right.
I think if you wanted a feel-good story, I think it would have been nice if you could have brought in Chris Jericho, somebody that maybe had a past with Goldberg, that's AG, that you're not going to hurt Chris Jericho if you pin him, if he gets beat. Not going to hurt him. If you could have somebody like that you could have put him up, in a final match, and you could have put Goldberg over, and like I said, walked out with a real good feel-good story and all that. It's obvious he will not beat Gunther. He will not beat Gunther. I mean, that's pretty obvious. And that's the only problem that I see with that match. Now, if Goldberg was 15 years younger, I say, heck yeah, that's going to be a heck of a match, you know. But other than that, that's the problem that I see with it. I would like to have seen it booked a little different. I'm glad Goldberg's doing it.
I don't like the booking on it in at all because Goldberg hasn't been here and he just walks out at you know 80 years old and says I want a match.
Well, I think you're being a little bit exaggerating things there just a little bit. But I think there's other people that you could have built a storyline with that you could have put Goldberg over on.
I liked your storyline that little better what they could have did with Braun Breaker.
That's a good one. That would have been a good one. Uh,
Then you're not messing with the title because it's obvious it's completely obvious that that Goldberg is not going to win the title.
no. Well, I think the Braun Breaker. Did we discuss this any
Yes.
here last week? Yeah, I thought we did, and that would be a good. You could have made a good story about that. You know, let Braun really got out of hand for a while, and then maybe had Goldberg at one of the matches, just in the crowd watching it, sitting there shaking his head. Was getting frustrated with him. Then Goldberg come back and have a promo talking about, hey, I know your family, I know your dad, I know your uncle, and you're not conducting yourself like a Steiner, blah 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 blah. I think that would have been a good story.
Yes, I agree. I like that. But, it's whatever. That's what I like about wrestling. Wrestling, anything can happen, it just changes, day by day. So what do you think about Cody and Jey Uso having to have a match for the Night of Champions tournament?
I like it once in a while, something like this. But I mean, it's this is one of the few times where, okay, to make a match good, you need two things: a good story, or at least a reason that you're having it. And there is a reason for having this. If they just come up with two people to wrestle, that don't really do much. But when you've got,
AEW.
yeah, AEW style. But if you've got a good storyline, and this is a good story here. I mean, it's for the tournament. So I good. I think it'll be okay. It wouldn't be one of them things I'd want to see happen every week. But I think for the sake of the tournament, I think it's the way you got to go. I think it's more realistic to have that than to say only heels and faces are winning to wrestle each other. That's
Right.
not realistic.
I can agree. I can agree with that. Um, I'm looking forward to that, and I like they both have class. They shook each other's hands on Monday night, so I really respect that. Um, so we'll see how that goes.
I just wonder if there's a chance that Jey Uso could switch right there in the match and go dirty. That's what I wondered about what happened. What if he went heel in the match and did something and beat Cody?
I don't see that. He's too over right now.
He's over big time. He really is. He's over big. They said.
I mean, he's too over right now. I don't see either one of those two going heel anytime soon.
Um, you could have almost seen him. I think that Uso was in a position. I don't. I feel like a loss won't hurt him as bad as it would Gunther. Because you're trying to book Gunther like as he is dominant. I mean, he just is almost unbeatable. And I think they did a pretty good job with the Uso and Gunther match. Uso won.
You tapped out.
Yeah.
You tapped out.
But then Gunther come back and won it back. I think that was a realistic thing to do. I like the booking on that. If you want to be honest with you, a lot of people. I know I was telling you that Rikishi, his dad, Uso's dad's not happy about it, but I thought it was realistic. I mean, in a realistic situation, I don't think Jey Uso would beat Gunther 2 out of 3 matches.
Not at all. And I sent you that message about what what WWE would look like if Rikishi was in charge.
Okay, you sent it to me. But no, um, are we down to AEW now?
Yes.
And we didn't get to watch Dynamite last night due to life getting in the way. But
So here is the AEW Grand Slam Mexico results and highlights. So Mercedes Moné captured the CMLL Women's Championship, marking a historical victory at Arena Mexico. Major matches featured Kazuchika Okada versus Mark Briscoe, Miss Jua versus MFJ, which ended in a disqualification after MFJ's low blow and unmasking attempt. A high-stakes 12-man tag and chaotic 10-man brawl with Jon Moxley pinning Shane Strickland.
Who's that?
I have no idea. Hologram won a four-way showdown claiming a 4 million peso prize, and Hangman Adam Page saved Swerve Strickland from a combined attack big moments ahead into All In. Bryan Danielson made a surprise return, coming out to assist Blue Panther after the Ring of Honor and CMLL Global Wars tapings. Brody King made political waves wearing an Abolish ICE shirt during the show. And Tony Khan popped up in Mexico meeting with CMLL CEO Salvador Literoff and mascot Kimolato, strengthening the AEW and CMLL partnership. Quick fan incident and backstage buzz. MFJ was confronted at his hotel by a fan after his run-in with Moscato. AEW security intervened in what is some call a scary incident. More backstage rumblings around Jamie Hatcher's absence from TV. Reports suggest that it's purposeful direction, not injury related.
And where did this happen at with MFJ? Does it say?
Mexico.
It was in Mexico. Didn't become physical, did it?
No. New and rising talent Mina Shirakawa opened up on AEW's Close-Up about her journey and aspirations since joining the promotion, and Sahara reflected on her legacy, sharing which career moments she wants to remember. And championship unification ahead. AEW continues unveiled to unify the Continental and International titles into the new AEW Unified Championship with the inaugural match set for All In on July 12th with Kenny Omega versus Okada.
Now, that unification, I'm not sure I'm understanding. Is that going to be unified with the world title, or is it going to be like a U.S. Continental title that they already got that's going to be unified with?
Okay, so I just said it. You gotta listen.
I was listening, but I didn't get it.
To unify the Continental and International titles into one title, the Unified Champion. They're taking those two titles and making it one title, the Unified Championship.
That don't make sense to me, though, what they're doing. They really don't.
I know what I see what they're doing, but I don't like it.
I don't really see what the purpose of it is. I don't know. To me, it don't make sense, but whatever.
All In is July 12th in Texas, and looking forward to that at Globe Life Field.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, it looks like a pretty good card.
Like I said, we watched it last week in its entirety, Dynamite last week. And it was that special, they had a 4 hour, which was too long, but I thought it was a pretty good card. I really did. I actually was kind of enjoyed it, really. It wasn't bad at all. And we've got to go back and pick up last night's too and watch it.
Real quick, if I can find it here, I was going to go ahead and give some recognition to what's her face, who showed up on NXT this week before we just move on to something else.
We're going to do our top 10 wrestler list today, aren't we?
Yes. You have yours?
I sure do.
Blake Monroe, who was
I don't even know who that is.
She was, I think, Mariah May with AEW. She has jumped ship and made her move to the NXT. So really cool about Mariah May. Wanted to go ahead and give her a shout out. She started as a ring announcer and worked her way into wrestling.
Oh, that's good. I mean, that's cool. Okay, are we ready to? You want to go first?
So how do we want to do this? Do you want me to do the full list, or?
I think you should do your number 10, and then I'll do my number 10.
Okay.
Then you should do your number 9. I'll do my number 9. and then we'll wait till the very end to do some honorable mentions. You can just list your honorable mentions, and I'll list mine.
All right. Number 10, Bruno San Martino.
And number 10, Kane.
Number 9, The Undertaker.
And number 9, I have The Rock.
Number 8, John Cena.
And number 8, I have The Undertaker.
Number 7, it's going to kind of surprise you, Andre the Giant.
Yeah, that's one that really should be an honorable mention, too. But I have number 7, I have Randy Savage, Macho Man Randy Savage.
Number 6, Shawn Michaels.
Number 6, I have John Cena.
Number 5, Bret Hart.
Number 5, Bret Hart for me, too.
Number 4, The Rock.
Number 4, Shawn Michaels.
Number 3, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Number 3, the immortal Hulk Hogan.
Number 2, Ric Flair.
Yep, number 2, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
Number 1 is Hulk Hogan.
Number 1, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Our top 5 is pretty good.
Pretty close.
Was The Rock not on your list?
Mm-hmm. He was number 9.
Okay, he's number 9. Okay.
Now can I give my honorable mentions?
Yes.
And my honorable mentions is Kurt Angle.
Okay, that's a good one.
Harley Race, Bruno San Martino, and Roddy Piper.
So how many honorable mentions we given?
4. I think if you got a 5th one, that's okay too.
So some of my honorable mentions that I have here is Triple H.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Macho Man. I didn't write all of mine down, but what was me?
You heard my 4 honorable mentions,
mm-hmm.
And if we're going to get a 5th one, I would have to give my 5th one to Brock Lesnar because he has made a big impact in it. So my honorable mentions again, I'm going to say them again, would be Kurt Angle, Harley Race, Bruno San Martino, Roddy Piper, and Brock Lesnar. So that's where I stand with it.
That's good.
And we want to, although it's not as serious as they once said, but we want to throw our prayers out and thoughts to Hulk Hogan. I understand he's having some neck and back issues again. And, a lot of people don't like Hulk, but he has meant a lot to the business. And,
for sure.
And I think he did a lot. So, we need to remember him. We don't want to see nothing happen to him.
Right. I agree with that.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
That's all I've got. I didn't have all of my honorable mentions wrote down, so I only named a couple there. I had them down, and then I lost them. But
we'll bring that next week.
I had a couple of down, like I said, Triple H.
I think we're going to have
Macho Man, and so those are my main.
Macho Man, Triple H.
Those are my main 2 honorable mentions that I think, because it's hard, and the reason I had to add Andre the Giant and both Bruno San Martino's because those 2 guys played a pivotal role in a lot of what we did.
I feel bad that I didn't get Andre on the list, but it's really hard to squeeze everybody in there,
It really is.
It's really difficult. And I think in the future we need to do one on tag teams.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good one to go on. But anyway, I feel like that next week when we'll have a better podcast. I thought we wasn't as prepared this week as we normally are. And for that, I apologize. But, we got some stuff coming up here in the future. It's going to give us a lot of good things to talk about. But anyway, from my standpoint, I guess I will tell everybody God bless, and we'll talk to you next time.
We will talk to you next time. And one last ending note, we have some good news if you're a Kansas City Royals fan. We just got word that the Royals swept the Rangers in Arlington.
Oh, they swept them in Dallas, huh?
And they swept them in Arlington.
Wow.
Yes. So that's unfortunate if you are a Rangers fan, but if you are any fan of the Kansas City Royals or a fan of any of the team in the National League West, that's good for you. So,
well, the Royals are not totally out of it yet.
No, they have some work to do, but we'll see how that goes. You guys have a wonderful weekend. You guys have a great week, and we will see you next week here on the Backyard Sports Talk. We hope to have this up next Wednesday. Sorry for the late upload. We really appreciate you guys joining in. Tell your friends, tell your family. Please share us out to all your social media platforms. And you guys have a good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you might be listening. And we will talk to you guys next week. Thank you very much.